It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. I do think accrual sales, and the reason we don't have this in QuickBooks for our clients, we try to have them break their CRM apart and keep it separate, but then we just go into their CRM or have them send us the accrual sales so we can report it back to them. Because I do think when we're looking at our performance of how well we made decisions throughout the month, how well we spent our money, it's driven the most, it's most directly aligned to when we invoice the work. Especially if we have commercial jobs, I don't think cash basis tells us how well we're operating on a month-to-month basis. At the end of the year, hold on, let me finish. At the end of the year, cash basis and accrual basis is damn near the same thing. But if we're looking at our cost of goods sold, like what our wages are, if we're looking at how much we spent in marketing and some of those things, it tends to be that the amount we invoiced our clients for that month is a better barometer for how much we should have spent against those production sales. And so I like to look at those percentages rather than percentages against our cash basis, where we might have just been sitting on $20,000 in checks and didn't get them deposited until next month. And so
I feel like you're nerding out, and you know your audience better than I do, but I want to pause you and just translate. Can I do that? Is that allowed for a second?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I get carried away.
You and Dom are on this level of awesomeness, and most of the people I talk to on a daily basis are kind of hanging out here. They're very awesome, but they also struggle with big words.
They hire bookkeepers because they don't like accounting.
They don't like accounting, and they don't understand it, and they don't like feeling dumb. And accrual basis is usually a word I never say. I actually am cringing trying to say it because I'm that's my whole shit actually.
Accrual? It's just a weird word anyway.
Well, at my office, I have a sign right here, and it says, "It's a cruel world." I think it's an accrual word. It's a terrible word. So
that's almost as good as freaking the sheets.
See, there you go. Well, and I usually say I'm never going to teach you the difference between accrual and cash because you don't need to know. And so I'm breaking my rule. I'm going to teach you right now because Dan and Dom are at the next level.
Right there.
So accrual sale. Well, and I hate the using the word sales because I feel like that's confusing it. So
accrual revenue.
Thank you. Very good. Accrual revenue versus cash revenue. Accrual revenue is the revenue that you get to, I'm using all the big words, you get to realize when the job has been completed. So
when you send an invoice.
Yep. We have this revenue recognition principle, which is way nerdier than we're going to go. But the idea is that if you took a deposit on Christmas lights, that's not revenue yet. It's revenue, well, kind of when your contract says it is, but also it's revenue when you send the invoice, right? When you finish the job in the accrual world. In a cash basis world, and I kind of now I'm understanding where Dom was going with this. In a cash basis world, it is revenue when the money hits the bank. So when it's deposited, that's when we recognize the revenue.
Which is generally for most of us is what matters for tax purposes. That's our tax basis.
Unless you're doing over $5 million. Yep.
It's $25 million now, I heard.
Oh, okay. $25 million. I don't even know. Yeah,
I stumbled across that and I was like, oh, hallelujah. Because I love cash basis accounting for simplicity reasons, but I do always go get that accrual basis sales because I like to cross-reference it for our reporting. So it's
and Dom's question of how do we get them closer to each other is credit cards on file. Yeah. So you finish the job, you charge them that day. And maid service is really good at this. Lawn care is really good at this. We are way behind as window cleaners, pressure washers. But credit cards on file will make cash basis and accrual basis essentially match up, unless you have commercial, right?
I was going to say commercial is a killer.
They're killer. And if you're doing commercial with more than net 30, you probably need to be running your P&Ls, I believe, 3 rolling months. Because 1 month isn't actually a good enough cross-section of your data. Yeah. But we're getting distracted. So we got accrual basis revenue, cash basis revenue, and then the last thing we've been talking about is sales. And sales is you sold it on the phone today. Mrs. Jones signed the proposal. She may have even given you a deposit, but you're not going to recognize that revenue. You're not going to recognize that income until the job's completed. Mm-hmm. And then you don't recognize it until you're actually paid for cash. So the leading measures of sales for me tells me, hey, I'm gonna have lower revenue in a couple of weeks because my sales numbers have dipped. I need to be more aggressive with my marketing efforts, right?
Mhm.
When I see my sales numbers start to go down, because I want them to usually be ahead, right? I know you live in a place that doesn't work year round, and so
Yeah, we have quite a whole lot of seasonality. Like a hilarious amount of seasonality. It's super fun.
Yeah, so your sales and your revenue are not lined up.
They're just not even close. It's
you don't want them to be.